You know, if you seriously told me about 2 weeks ago that LeBron James was walking away from LA to sign with Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, I would have genuinely checked you into a mental institution. But Shams Charania broke the entire league when he announced that LeBron James officially walked away from the Lakers for a crazy 2-year, $8 million contract to chase ring number 5 in Philly.
Because early in the process, it was very apparent that he wanted to decide on a team where he found happiness, a chance to win a championship and compete at a high level.
Stephen A. Smith literally looked like he saw a ghost on live television when the news dropped.
Your initial reaction to LeBron joining forces with Jaylen Brown and company in Philly?
Shock.
So if you're a Cavs or Heat fan, I just need you to know that you're in trouble this next season, because what you're about to witness is the most terrifying roster construction this league has ever seen, designed purely to lock down the Eastern Conference before a single game is even played. Now, the craziest part of all of this is how the NBA players themselves reacted to the news. I've got the inside scoop on what the locker rooms are saying, the private texts that got leaked, and the huge controversy this decision has already ignited. And I'm about to expose it all. Trust me when I tell you, you need to hear what Steph Curry said about how this affects their relationship from now on. But before we get to what Steph Curry said, let's start with Joel Embiid, a guy who spent the last few years dealing with injuries, endless media noise, and getting sent home early every single year. The second LeBron signed, Embiid looked like a kid who just found out that school was canceled forever. That was his actual live reaction to the news, and it just shows how completely crazy this whole move is for him. Embiid has spent years trying to get past the second round, and now he suddenly gets to play a fully healthy season next to the league's all-time leading scorer? Yeah, I'd lose my mind too. And then you have Tyrese Maxey. Maxey didn't drop some boring, PR-trained statement to the media. He literally went on Instagram screaming at the top of his lungs because he realized he just got handed the easiest open looks of his entire life. But that brings us right into the most interesting reaction from all of them by far, which is Jaylen Brown. Because if you haven't been paying attention to the drama, you might have forgotten that LeBron actually had some serious tension with him. It all started back during the 2024 Summer League, when Brown got caught on a hot mic saying he did not think Bronny James was a pro. LeBron definitely took that personally. But when reporters asked him about his relationship with JB in a locker room interview back in February, he played it completely cool and said things were respectful.
Our relationship has been, pretty respectful. Besides the shit he said about Bronny at Summer League, but other than that, but other than that.
Even though sources close to Brown are saying the beef is officially squashed now that they're teammates in Philly after that massive blockbuster trade, the tension underneath is still wild to think about. Publicly, everyone on that team is smiling and playing nice for the cameras. But what the public did not know at the time was that behind closed doors, a completely different fight was going on between front offices, and the Warriors thought they had the deal locked down until the very last second. See, before the announcement, LeBron's agent, Rich Paul, went on a podcast and spilled that LeBron was still confused and trying to figure out whether he should head back to Cleveland, run it back in Miami, team up with Steph in Golden State, or make the huge jump to Philly.
So I think it's important for people to understand, we're not making this about attention and a spectacle. It's not about a decision or anything like that. He has a choice to make. He has a business choice to make.
Warriors fans were ready to start ordering custom jerseys because they thought a Steph and LeBron tag team was a done deal. But instead, Philly pulled off a silent robbery right under everyone's noses while the rest of the league was completely looking the other way. And nobody took it harder than Draymond Green. In fact, he took a direct shot at LeBron. He mentioned LeBron's history with moving from team to team and chasing rings. In an interview with Shaq, these were his exact words: "I ain't Bron. I'm different. If I had to stay in Golden State another 5 years and we don't make the playoffs for 5 years straight, I'm totally fine with that. I'd rather struggle with the same guys I succeeded with. He was not even trying to front for the cameras because he knew Golden State was right there at the finish line, ready to lock it down and seal the agreement. Watching LeBron slide over to the Eastern Conference means the Warriors are suddenly looking at their biggest obstacle if they have to see him in June with a ring on the line. Front offices across the entire league were completely panicking, trying to figure out how to respond to the 2-year, $8 million steal that no one saw coming. Executives were on emergency phone calls trying to piece together roster moves while realizing their entire offseason plans, but if you thought it was just NBA executives who were losing sleep over this, wait until you hear what went down when Shaq and Kevin Garnett started countering each other live on TV over what this means for his legacy.
A lot of people call it ring chasing. It's not ring chasing, it's just defining your legacy.
According to Shaq, when you're already playing in year 24, nothing you do can ever be called ring chasing anymore. He called it stacking extra credit on top of a resume that's already untouchable, pointing out that haters are just mad because they would do the exact same thing in his shoes.
Point when we talk about LeBron's legacy, right now we're just talking about extra credit.
But then you had Kevin Garnett go completely off the rails on his podcast, and he was not buying Shaq's smooth explanations, not one bit.
He goes to Philly, God damn, that's like the circus. Only one ball. I don't know if all those pieces can work with you.
KG talked about how this roster is basically a black hole that swallows possessions whole. He was literally losing his mind trying to figure out how 4 dudes who all demand the basketball are supposed to share one single ball without a full-blown civil war breaking out before training camp even starts. He yelled about how you cannot just throw 4 massive alpha egos into the same starting 5 and expect everyone to be happy taking a back seat.
The edge comb on the way up. You know what I'm saying? Big fella gonna feel some type of way. Once they hit the black hole, it don't come out the black hole. And Embiid get it. It don't come out of that mama, you know what I'm saying? It's going up, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't like.
When an absolute legend like KG is out here telling you how bad this could get if managed badly, you realize how terrifying this experiment really is. But let's forget about the chemistry for a second, because KG can stress about chemistry all he wants, but the actual stats on paper are completely unfair to the other teams in the East. When you stack LeBron, Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey together on the same floor, you're looking at a starting 5 that averages over 123 points a game combined. We have literally never seen a lineup in NBA history with this much concentrated firepower on a single roster. Opposing defenses are genuinely gonna need a miracle just to figure out who to double team, because if you focus on Embiid down low, Maxey's flying past you on the perimeter. If you try to stay home on the shooters, LeBron's putting you in a blender and finding the open man every single time. It's literally an impossible puzzle for any defensive coordinator in the league to solve. And Charles Barkley had the exact reaction you would expect.
Go off. I like that. Let me ask you this. Your initial reaction upon hearing the news that LeBron James is going to Philly?
Shocked. Because I wanted him to go back to Cleveland.
Chuck laughed at the absurdity of a billionaire icon taking an $8 million taxpayer discount just to gather rings before he retires. He didn't sugarcoat the reality of the situation for a single second, calling out the fact that LeBron has always stacked his teams and that the league is officially shoved right back into the super team era, whether small market fan bases like it or not.
The number one knock on LeBron for older guys like myself has always been, yo man, you always stacking your team. He stacked it in Miami. He stacked it in Cleveland. He stacked it in LA. Now he's stacking it in Philly.
But the heaviest reaction of the entire media cycle came straight from Vince Carter, and he did not hold back at all. He dropped 4 words that everybody who hates this move was already saying.
That's cheating. That's cheating if he goes there, because he doesn't have to do much to still be him.
Vince completely broke down how unfair it is because, like I said earlier, when you look at a starting 5 featuring LeBron, Embiid, Maxey, and Jaylen Brown, opposing teams literally do not have enough elite defenders on their active roster to survive 4 quarters of that. And speaking of guys who know what it takes to survive a LeBron-led team, according to insiders on his team, even Steph Curry had to face the music. After years of legendary playoff battles, Olympic gold medal runs together in Paris, Sixers. And breaking down basketball strategy side by side on their podcasts, Steph knew the reality. Seeing his old rival slip past Golden State trade deadline push and land in Philadelphia means the road to a ring just became way harder for every single contender left standing. So here's the question that nobody in New York or Boston wants to answer. Now that LeBron James has officially walked away from LA and joined forces with Embiid, Maxey, and Brown in Philly, does this instantly crown the Sixers as the undisputed kings of the East, or is the Eastern Conference still wide open? Drop your takes down in the comments right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because soon training camp opens and the regular season tips off. We're tracking every single disaster, trade rumor, and triumphs along the way.